everyone, this video is for week 2's HTML part. Before I go through these slides, I want to first show you questions of quiz 1 here. I don't know why I cannot attach the PDF to the quiz itself, so I have put it here on the week 2 tab, quiz 1 questions. There are 30 multiple choice questions in quiz 1, and the password is LS500 quiz 1. Those questions are exactly the same as what you can find in the quick check part of Model 2 and Model 3. But the answer order could be different. Please pay attention to the answer order. And the due date of this quiz is February 23rd. On syllabus, I say every assignment, every quiz is due by Sunday of that week. I mean, Sunday after that week, not before. So quiz 1 will be due by February 23rd, not February 16th, okay? If you have any questions about quiz 1, please email me. Okay, so this is the first set of slides of your personal website assignment. HTML is a formatting markup language. So before I move to the real hand coding part, first I would like to give some background information about markup language. What is markup language? In computer text processing, a markup language is a system for annotating a document in a way that is distinguishable from the text. The idea and terminology evolved from the markup of paper manuscript, which is traditionally written with a red and blue pencil on authors' manuscripts. In digital media, this blue pencil instruction set was replaced by tags, which indicates what the parts of the document are, rather than details of how they might be shown on some display. This let authors avoid formatting every instance of the same kind of thing redundantly and possibly inconsistently. It also avoids the specifications of fonts and dimensions which may not apply to many users, such as those with varying size displays, those have impaired vision or screen reading softwares. There are 3 types of digital markups: the personal markups, procedure markups, and descriptive markups. So HTML is a descriptive markup. Descriptive markup is used to label parts of the document rather than to provide specific instructions as to how they should be processed. Descriptive markup, sometimes called logical markup or conceptual markup, encourages authors to write in a way that describes the material conceptually rather than visually. Well-known examples include HTML, LaTeX, I don't know if you have used LaTeX before, and XML. The objective is to decouple the inherent structure of the document from any particular treatment or redaction of it. Such markup are often described as semantic. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is the standard markup language for documents designed to be displayed in a web browser. HTML is a formatting language that describes how content should appear on a page. It is not a programming language. It can be assisted by technologies such as CSS, cascading style sheet, and scripting language such as JavaScript. Any computer can read the HTML markup. Web browser receive HTML document from a web server or from local storage and display the document into multimedia web pages. The type code of HTML is text. HTML's code is stored in plain text file and can be created use a text editor like Notepad or text editor or Dreamweaver. So that's a reason why I actually showed you last week. If you are using a text editor, you should change the preference here from rich text to plain text, because HTML code can only be stored in plain text files. And if you are using a Notepad on Windows, you don't need to change anything in preference. You should never create HTML code with word processors such as Word, Microsoft's Word, since word processor could create binary files that store additional information along with the text. A basic HTML page is a document that typically has a file extension .html. Although HTML frequently appeared in the content of other file types as well, the extension tells the browser interprets a file according to HTML standards. However, although HTML documents are text files, images and other objects such as interactive fonts could be embedded into the HTML page. Here are some file types you can embed it in HTML page, such as TXT, PDF, and JPEG for text, for document, and for image. Of course, there are many other file types you can also embed it in HTML pages. Those are just some examples. And here, some other special applications that are valid and common components of HTML documents include ASP and PHP. They are actually both server-side scraping and usually used to create interactive functions such as fonts. Here, HTML structure plus CSS style plus JavaScript interaction forms a complete web page. Of course, you can only use HTML structure, but then your page will lack lots of dynamics. You don't need to know ASP and PHP. Those two will not be taught in this class. Just to let you know. Okay, from here, I will talk a little bit about the web page structures. So all HTML documents follow the same basic structure, so that the browser that reads the file knows what to do. The basic structure on which all web pages are built looks like we're showing slide 8 here. The HTML element, opening HTML code tag and closing HTML code. This HTML document, this HTML element wraps around all of the other code and content in the document. This element, known as the HTML root element, always contains one head element and one body element. The HTML head element is a container that can include a number of HTML elements that are not visible part of the page. These elements are either metadata that describe information about a page, or are helping pull in external resources like CSS or JavaScript files. If we say this is the source code of our home course homepage. So this is a header, you can see. So those are metadata elements like authors and copyright keywords of this page, and these elements are for CSS and JavaScript files. As you can see, there are only one head element and one body element of a certain web page, no matter how complex that page is. I think there are several elements can be used in the head element, like title, style, meta, link, script, and base. I think I have attached them here. And you can also take a look at the examples from W3C School. This is a very good resource for HTML. Yeah, those are the elements that can be embedded in the head element. The title element here is the only element that is required to be contained within the head element. The content within this element is displayed as a page title in the tab of the browser, and is also what search engines use to identify the title of a page. This page. The title in the head will be HTML p tag. This one will be, the title will be HTML head tag. And you can only have one head element and one body element, no matter how complex your code is. The body element is a container that holds the content of the web page. All of the content you see in the browser is contained within this body element. No matter how much code you have, you should put them inside of the body element. You might have noticed that I use HTML elements and tags at the same time. So HTML elements are delineated by tags written using angle breaks. HTML elements indicate the purpose of a tag, and tags indicate the beginning and the end of an element. For example, here we have a very simple example, a simple paragraph. This letter P represents a paragraph. This letter P, along with this slash letter P, together represents the paragraph element. So this P, the first P, is an opening tag that tells the browser that the content that follows it is a paragraph. This slash and P in the second tag indicates that it is a closing tag that tells the browser that the paragraph element is ending and that any content that appear after it is not part of this paragraph. The content of this paragraph is only important points about tag. So if let me copy, paste it here. Okay, important points about tags. You may have serious display issues if you don't remember to close each tag, because the browser will interpret this pattern as meaning that the element identified by the opening tag should continue for the rest of the page. I don't think you will forget the opening tag, but you should remember for those elements that require a pair of tags, you should always include a closing tag. Otherwise, the web browser, as I said, will consider the rest of the content are also, for example, in this paragraph. So there are also some tags do not operate on tags, and then they do not have a closing tag. They are actually called empty tag, such as you will see later the line breaks and horizontal rules, like this one. For those elements, they only have one tag. They don't have a pair of tags, and of course you can only use one tag. And tags can also be combined or nested. In terms of HTML here, nesting means exactly what you'd think it might be. Each element goes inside another element. If more than one tag is formatting the text, then the closing tag should be written in reverse order from how they were opened. Like this one, this is opening p tag, closing p tag, and I also want to make this important point about tags as broad. So I add a pair of strong tags. I should have an opening strong tag and a closing strong tag, and they should be inside of this set of p tags. Okay. You see, if I do not have the closing strong tag, then every line here will be broad. This is not I want. I only want the first line to be broad. So I should add a closing strong tag. Okay. Please be sure you pay attention to the order if you want to use combined and nested tags. Okay, so some tags also use attributes to provide additional information. They appear on the opening tag of the element and are made up of two parts, a name and a value, separated by an equal sign. The attribute name indicates what kind of extra information you want to add for the elements, for this element. It should be written in lowercase. The value is information or setting for the attribute. It should be placed in double quotes like this. Different attributes can have different values, of course. Here, an attribute called language is used to indicate the language used in this element. The value of this attribute on this page specifies it is US English. You can add more than one attribute to a given element. So if you have other other attribute you want to add for this paragraph, you can continue to do that, like language and then alignment. You don't need to put them in different places. And of course, the value of each attribute should follow some rules. What's ENUS? And I can also have alliance equals right. Okay, you will not see the effect of English because this is in English, but you can see its alignment has been changed to right. There are two attributes here. Okay, the majority of attributes can only be used on certain elements. I think language can be used in almost all elements. Yeah. But some other attributes such as like font size, colors, and alignments can only be applied to some certain elements. So here, some tags can work together with other tags. So this is actually similar to combined nested tag, but this is a list. This is a ordered list with list items. You will see example later. So basically, this pair of OL tags are used to represent the ordered list, and this pair of list item tags are used to represent list items inside of this ordered list. Okay, there are some basic HTML grammars. All tags should be written in lowercase. You should not use uppercase letters, and all values, anything after equal sign should be included in double quotes. Yeah, you have seen this here. And all tags must be closed, which means if this tag has an opening tag, then it should has a closing tag. But for those empty tags like libraries or horizontal rules, since there's only one tag there, you don't need to worry about closing tags. Okay, this slide is about the document type of your web page. The first line of your web page is called the document type declarations. We can take a look at the example. Yes, this line. Document type HTML. So this is document type declarations. It is used to tell the browser which version of HTML this page is written in. In this case, and also in your assignment, you should use a document type that corresponds to HTML5, the most up-to-date version of the HTML language. There are also a number of different document type declarations that correspond to various versions of HTMLs. So you can take a look at some other types of document type declarations. So this one is what you should use for your assignment. Your first line, it is used to declare that your web page is for HTML5. And those are different versions of HTML 4.01. Those are different versions for XHTML 1.0. And you don't need to use any of that. You should use this one. Okay, I think this is also the easiest one. Okay, from here, I want to do some basic tags of HTML. First is you have already seen the paragraph tags. To create a paragraph, surround the words that makes up the paragraph with an opening p tag and a closing p tag. By default, a browser will show each paragraph on a new line with some space between it and any following paragraphs. You can also add various formatting options to your paragraph. I have already shown you the alignment. Can take a look at the, yeah, I think I have put a demo in the notes part here. Okay, the attribute name and values you can use. There are 3 paragraphs here. I can say first alignment is white. Second is center. Here you can see the difference, right? This one has been moved to the right. This one has been moved to the center. And you can also use headings. This is another common tags you will use in your website. I think there is a requirement to ask you to use different headings in your assignments. Headings are defined with H1 to H6 tags. H1 is usually used for main headings, and then H2 is used for subheadings. If there are further sections on the subheadings, then the H3 element is used, and so on. Browsers display the content of headings at different sizes. the content of a H1 element is the largest, and the content of an H6 element is the smallest. You can take a look at the example. Okay, heading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you can add like style attribute for your heading. So search engines use the heading to index the structure and the content of your web page. So users often skim a page by its headings. So it is a good practice to use headings to show your document structure. Okay, this is one of the empty tags I mentioned before called libraries. The web browser does not recognize white space or when you press the enter key to move to a new line. Therefore, you must specify when you want to insert a library in a web page. This BR library tag can insert a single library into your web page. So since this is an empty tag, it does not have an end tag. So you can only use this BR. So this is a example. Line 1 BR, and then line 2 will start from another line. So there is a break here. So you can also take a look at the example demo. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 libraries inside of this paragraph. Let me delete this one. So you see the difference here. And horizontal rule is another empty tag. So it defines a break in an HTML page. This horizontal rule element is used to separate content or define a change in an HTML page. Horizontal rule does not have a corresponding ending tag because it just inserts a line. They will automatically apply a break at the end of the line. Okay, we can take a look. Example here. So this is a horizontal rule. If I delete it, you can see that line disappear. I can add it here. Okay, then we have a new line under this CSS defines how to display HTML elements paragraph. Okay, this slide 17 lists some major HTML text formatting. For demos, you may refer to this W3C Schools HTML formatting page. So broad tags, important tags, italic, emphasize, marked small, deleted, insert, subscribe, and superscribe text. I think the first of all are used more frequently. So here I want you to pay attention to the difference from B and strong, and also I and EM. Although the strong and B, the EM and I, they have same effect, but they actually have different semantic meaning. B and I, bonds and italic text, they only define the effect, but strong and emphasize, those two tags, they actually means the text is important, so they have more semantic meanings than B and I. I know it's a little bit difficult to understand, but that's the reason why HTML5 is called semantic formatting language. And this is slide 18 and 19 showed some HTML quotation and citation element. This Q element is used for short quotations that sit within a paragraph. And this block quote is used to represent longer quotation that take up an entire paragraph. You can see the difference here. Q for short quotations. Why I have so many windows? Okay, this build the future where people live in harmony with nature. This is a short quotation. And block quote is for longer quotation. You can see the entire paragraph is actually a quotation. And there are some other quotation and citation elements, such as abbreviations and acronym. You can use abbreviations to define those two. And I think this page also has an example. Yeah. Abbreviations. And address. This element contains content details for example, for book authors. It can contain a physical address or other contact information such as an email address. Browser often displays the content of the address element in italics. Yeah, this one. You can see this is the physical address. I can also add the email. Yes. And cite and define. So cite, according to its name, cite element can be used to indicate where the citation is from. Browser usually display cite elements in italic also. Like this one. Okay, this is a cite. Although the effects are the same for the address, for cite, and also for this define, but they have different semantic meanings. This is actually a feature of HTML5 language. And this one, define. This one is used to indicate define a new term, such as academic term or technical terms. Our browser will also show the content of the define element in italics. Okay, I don't have an example of define here. DF. Okay, you can see HTML is a technical term, right? So here there's a define element to kind of emphasize it. Okay, those are some HTML quotations and citations element. So there are times when it becomes necessary to display symbols or special characters in HTML that are not available on your keyboard, right? For example, web browser will only recognize one space following a word or character, or all others are ignored. If you want to type a word or press a spacebar 5 times, only to actually show 5 space, only the first space will be recognized by the browser. The browser actually assumes the other space, those 4 spaces, are part of the code's layout and not part of the actual document. So if you really want 5 spaces there, you should use code for special characters. HTML includes a set of code called symbols and special characters. This is a format of using a special character tags. An ampersand followed by a pound sign and followed by that special character entity name or entity number, depends on which one you can remember, and ended by a semicolon. So for example here, this copyright symbol, this C, can be displayed by using an ampersand followed by a pound sign and followed by, this is the entity number of the copyright symbol, and end by a semicolon. I can show you here. You can see there's a copyright symbol here, right? And slide 21, include some commonly used special characters. There are actually literally hundreds of special characters entities currently available, but you don't need to use all of them. Yeah, I have a list here. HTML entities. See, this is a copyright, right? Less than, greater than, ampersand itself, double quotation marks, single quotation marks, cent, pound. Those are some commonly used one. So you can use entity name or entity number after the pound sign. Again, depends on which one you can remember. So if I use like the entity name of copyright, yeah, it should work here. Yeah, you can see the effect is the same. I can change it to 169. Okay, I always forget the pound sign, sorry. Sign, copy. Okay, so you don't need to remember those entity names or entity number. If you want to use any of them, even those that have not been included in this list, you can refer to HTML HTML element list. No one can remember all those special characters or symbols. Okay, so from here, this is the last part for today's HTML, creating HTML list. There are three types of HTML lists. First is the bulleted list called unordered list. Second is a numbered list called ordered list. And we also have definition list, also called describe list, which are primarily used to set off and define terms. Okay, let's see the unordered list first. On an unordered list start with the unordered list tag. This is an opening tag, this is a closing tag. Each list item, the content inside of the unordered list, start with the list item tag, and there is also a closing tag for each list item. Here, this one has 3 list items inside of the unordered list. The list item will be marked with bullets by default, but there are also other formats you can use. So this demo is for all HTML lists. Okay, unordered lists. Bullets, right? And the list style can also be changed. If you use circle, then the list item markers will be a circle. If you use square, it will be a square. If you use none, there will be none. So the default one is a bullet. And if I change it to circle, you can see the effect changes. And square, square, and if there is none, nothing appears. So this is also an attribute of, right? And this is the attribute value inside of the unordered list element. And if I copy and paste this set of code here, the effect is the same as what is here. An ordered list start with the according to its name, ordered list tag. This is opening tag, this is a closing tag, and each list item also start with the list item tag. So there are also 3 items inside of this order list. The list items will be marked with numbers by default, like 1, 2, 3. But you could also have other list markers. This is the ordered list. Type 1, this is this attribute name, this attribute value, right? Type 1, list items will be numbered with number, this is default. If A, then the list item will be numbered with uppercase letters. This one lowercase letters. I for uppercase Roman numbers. Lowercase I is for lowercase Roman numbers. Let's see this one. And then if I change it to lowercase a, uppercase I, lowercase I, and if I change it back to 1, then format will be the default format, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is the ordered list. So this table is for list attributes, actually a list marker attribute. Unordered list attribute value could be disk, circle, square, and none. ordered list 1, uppercase a, lowercase a, uppercase I, lowercase I. And the last one is the definition, or called description list. A definition description list is a list of items with a definition, with a description of each item. The description list is created using DL, according to its name, definition description list. The DL element is used in conjunction with the DT, which specify a term, definition term or description term, and the DD element, the DD tag, is used to specify that term's definition. Definition lists definition. It's a little bit complex to understand. So DL, definition list, DT, definition terms, and DD, the terms definition. So DL should be used in conjunction with DT. So it doesn't matter if you don't have DD for each DT. But if you don't have DT, then there will be nothing. And this is actually the same for the unordered and ordered list. If you don't have LI list item inside of UL or OL, nothing will appear. Basically, that's an empty list. So this is an example of a definition description list. There will not be any list markers for a definition description list. But there will be indentions for those DD. This is DT, linear hierarchical random. And there's no number or like a circle, square for those DT. But every DD will have indentions. Okay, the last one, the nested list. A list can also be nested, which means you could have lists inside of lists. List items can contain new lists and other HTML elements such as images or links. When you are creating a nested list, the sublist must be opened and closed below the listed item of the main list. If the sublist is not closed, the browser will not know while the nested list ends and the main list continues. So this is an example. The main list is an order list, right? OR and type I. It has 3 list items inside of the main ordered list: planning your site, designing your site, updates and maintenance of site. And for each list item of the main list, there is a sub unordered list inside of it. This UL is a sublist for the first list items of the main list, and this is another sub unordered list. So we can take a look at the effect. Okay, so this is the first sublist, this is the second, this is the third. And the main list items, the list markers are still numbered because this is a ordered list. And if I do not have this closing UL, what will happen? This designing your site, which should be a list item of the main list, will become part of the sublist because the variable does not know where it's at. So be sure if you are using nested list, you should pay attention to the opening tag of closing and the closing tag for those sublists. Okay, so that's pretty much all for HTML part 1. You don't need to I don't think you need to start your personal website assignment now. What I want you to do is to go through each demo in the notes part and try to change the code a little bit to see how the effect will be changed. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much all for HTML part 1. And again, if you have any questions, please let me know. I will provide that personal website template to you as soon as possible. Thank you.